She was denied entry because of her wheelchair. Then a single dad spoke up. It was a chilly Friday evening in downtown Portland, the kind of night where streetlights cast golden halos on wet pavement and the distant hum of the city feels like a lullaby. Mark Henderson, a 32-year-old single father, had just finished his second shift at the auto shop. Exhausted but determined, he clutched the hands of his two children, Lily, 7, and Milo, 5, as they walked toward Giuseppe's, a cozy Italian bistro known for its creamy risotto and warm, flickering candlelight. For weeks, Mark had promised them a fancy dinner to celebrate Lily's excellent report card. He scraped together every spare dollar, $47.82, to make it happen. His worn boots clicked softly against the sidewalk as he tried to ignore the ache in his shoulders and the worry lines etching deeper into his forehead. But when Lily squeezed his hand and whispered, "Daddy, I saved you the best seat," his heart swelled. This night was worth every sacrifice. They arrived at Giuseppe's just after 6 p.m. The place buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. Mark adjusted his flannel shirt, smoothed his hair, and pushed the heavy oak door open. The hostess, a woman in a sleek white and black dress, offered a tight smile. "Reservation?" she asked. "No, ma'am," Mark said gently. "Just hoping for a table for 3. She glanced at his children's rain-speckled jackets and muddy shoes, then toward the busy dining room. "It'll be a long wait," she said coolly. "Perhaps another place might suit you better." Mark's cheeks burned, but before he could respond, a commotion erupted near the entrance. "Ma'am, I understand your policy, but this is the only entrance," a soft but firm voice pleaded. Mark turned. A woman in a wheelchair, mid-30s, with kind eyes and auburn hair pulled into a loose bun, sat just outside the restaurant steps. Behind her stood a young aide, holding a takeout bag with a defeated look. The hostess stood on the top step, arms crossed. "I'm sorry," the hostess said, voice clipped. "Our building is historic. There's no ramp. We can't accommodate wheelchairs. You'll have to order to go." The woman's shoulders slumped. "But I called this morning. I was told you'd make it work." "We're fully booked. And again, no ramp." Mark watched as the woman's gaze dropped to her lap. Her hands trembled slightly on the wheels. Something inside him cracked open. "Excuse me," Mark said, stepping forward. His voice was calm, but carried weight. "You're turning her away because she uses a wheelchair?" The hostess blinked. "It's not personal. It's logistics." "It's discrimination," Mark said louder now. Patrons turned. "This is a public business. You have a legal obligation to provide access." "We've been here 40 years," the hostess snapped. "The city won't let us modify the facade. It's not our fault." "No," Mark said, stepping fully between her and the woman in the wheelchair. "But it is your choice what you do next." A hush fell over the entrance. Lily tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, can she eat with us?" He knelt. "If she wants to." He turned back to the woman. "My name's Mark. This is Lily and Milo. We've got a table for 3, but I think it's big enough for 4. Tears welled in Elena's eyes. "I'm Elena," she whispered. What happened next unfolded like a quiet miracle. Mark lifted Elena's wheelchair, carefully, respectfully, and carried it up the 3 front steps as the hostess stood frozen. Inside, diners stared. Some frowned, others smiled. One elderly man even stood and clapped softly. The manager rushed over, flustered. "Sir, this really isn't—" "Actually, it really is," Mark interrupted. "Either you seat us all together, or we all leave, and I file a complaint with the ADA before breakfast." The manager sighed, glanced at the growing audience, then nodded. "Booth by the window, right this way." They sat. Elena ordered pasta. Lily shared her garlic bread. Milo told Elena about his pet turtle, Sheldon. Laughter returned to the table. Light, healing, real. Over dinner, Elena explained she'd been paralyzed 5 years ago in a car crash that also claimed her husband. She'd been rebuilding her life as a disability rights advocate. Tonight was supposed to be a small victory, My first solo dinner out in months. I wanted to feel normal. Mark listened. You are normal, he said simply. Just someone who's been through hell and still shows up. That night, something shifted in all of them. 2 weeks later, Mark received a letter. It was from Elena, and it came with a $10,000 check. Inside she wrote, Mark, you didn't just carry my wheelchair up 3 steps. You carried me back into the world. Because of you, I'm launching a citywide campaign to make historic restaurants ADA compliant. But none of this would have happened if you didn't speak up when it mattered most. I want to help you too. I heard from Giuseppe's staff that you work 2 jobs and barely sleep. Please, use this to give your kids stability. Maybe even take a night off. You've earned it. With endless gratitude, Elena. Mark cried in his truck that night, quiet, heaving sobs of relief and disbelief. But the story didn't end there. Elena's campaign went viral. News outlets picked up the wheelchair and single dad story. Donations poured in. Within 6 months, Portland passed new legislation requiring small businesses to apply for accessibility grants. Giuseppe's installed a discreet, elegant ramp. And Mark? He didn't just take the money. He used part of it to enroll in night classes for mechanical engineering. The rest? He opened a college fund for Lily and Milo. Months later, at a city council meeting where Elena gave a powerful speech on inclusion, she paused in mid-sentence, looked into the crowd, and pointed. There he is, she said, voice thick with emotion. The man who reminded me that kindness isn't dead. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to speak first. Mark stood, holding his children's hands. No longer just a tired dad in the flannel shirt, but an unexpected hero whose single act of decency sparked a movement. Sometimes, change doesn't begin with a march or a manifesto. Sometimes, it starts with a man carrying a wheelchair up 3 steps and saying, "She eats with us." Because in a world quick to exclude, compassion is the most revolutionary act of all. Stay kind. Speak up. You never know whose life you'll change, including your own. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to ACA Storytales. Your support helps us bring more real-life stories of courage, kindness, and the extraordinary power of everyday heroes. And don't forget to comment below. Have you ever stood up for someone when it mattered most? We'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching.